Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I, for years, was affected by muskie fever. I remember when I went into the service, the one thing that was affecting me as I was serving in other parts of the world is thinking back to this area and thinking about muskies and how they had come to dominate my thoughts, my dreams, and when I'm here, my actions. Through the years, that sort of waned for me because I've fallen in love with so many other parts of fishing. But for a lot of people, the first time they experience muskies, it becomes almost a fever to them. They didn't realize that fish of this size, of this ferocity, lived in the water and they could possibly catch one. They could battle with one. And it really is almost all-encompassing. Well, the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I recently, just within the last 2 days, got an email from a doctor that I had talked about before, maybe a year ago. He had contacted my friend Dave Swanson and me, who had done a series of podcasts just talking about different fishing. He lives down in the Utica area. Well, after becoming involved with this whole idea of catching muskies, he'd never done this before. He recently, after all of COVID and everything, his daughter, obviously our kids are the biggest part of our life in most cases, she had moved back to this area and they started fishing together, but in a quest to catch muskies. And he sent us pictures of his trip with his daughter, and they went out to Wisconsin, and they were trying to catch a muskie on a fly rod. This was their quest. This was their dream. And they took the top guide out there, and they fished for 3 days, 8 or 9 hours a day, and they just did everything they could to catch a muskie. And she finally caught one. And this has affected them so much that now they're planning this year to come up here and fish the Grass River and some of our rivers for muskies. But I started this whole report about muskie fever because this is how this can affect people. Now, when we talk about fishing in our area, most of what I concentrate on in terms of giving you reports about this is the bass fishing, the tournament fishing, the potential of bringing all this notoriety, this exposure of Messina to the national fishing public. But I got to tell you, I think one of the biggest draws of our area for a lot of people would be to come and have a chance to catch muskies. Because you can travel to other parts of the country, like my friend Scott, the doctor that took his daughter out to Wisconsin. Wisconsin has always been thought of is the muskie capital of our country, basically. There's a lot of waters that hold muskies. But muskies have always been thought of as a fish of 1,000 casts or whatever those figures are. The importance is if we could bring more people, and we really need to control this because the muskies is ferocious and absolutely dreamlike that they can become are very fragile. This fishery has to be protected. We have to be careful that we don't kill these fish, but we keep them going so other people can enjoy it. But I will tell you that our muskie fishing in our tributaries, and I mentioned the Grass River, but we have 4 or 5 other rivers that offer equal type of fishing opportunities for muskies. And it's all there. Not many people do it. And yet I think it could be a big draw. So for all of you listening, I know you aren't going to go out and all of a sudden start fishing muskies, but I think it's important that you realize that we have several gems here in our area that other places don't have. Of course, we have the best smallmouth bass fishing in the world in the St. Lawrence River, and that's what's bringing a lot of upscale fishermen. But we're also interested in bringing families and fathers and sons and daughters, mothers and sons and daughters here to enjoy our fishing. And this is something that they can't experience in other places. They can't. I will tell you that from all my years in traveling the country and going to some of these other places. So this is something that I just want you to be aware of as we get ready to go through a new season, that our muskie fishing could become just as much a draw as our bass fishing, but we have to protect both. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.